Welcome back to the Ronnie's Awesome List podcast. As an adult, you may have experienced discomfort when sitting for long periods of time in front of a computer. But children's bodies are developing, and we're in the midst of a pandemic. So I wondered how full-time virtual learning impacts growing bodies. Kids are not mini adults and are impacted in different ways from the prolonged time being in a full-time virtual education. Young children do not have the cognitive abilities to recognize and avoid certain risks to their bodies. So how can we, as parents or caregivers, recognize these hazards in advance and better help them face these new and unique challenges when technology is a bigger daily need? I'm excited today to have a consultant and ergonomics specialist, Smita Marfatia. She's a physical therapist and consultant in the Bay Area. Smita, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
So yes, I have been physical therapist for a long period of time, and so as an ergonomic specialist, when I was working with the office-related injuries and all, it's like after a year or so, they would be coming back with the same issues. That's what interested me in doing ergonomics and make sure that if we can prevent from the beginning, that they can help themselves they can help themselves avoiding the musculoskeletal injury.
Great. So to get started, I was wondering if you could distinguish sort of the ergonomic attention that we as parents or caregivers need to do for the different age groups. So like, what would a parent of an elementary, middle, and high school student in a virtual full-time education environment, what should we be mindful of?
So each of them in each division, they would require a different attention, in the sense like when they are in the elementary, they are just kind of growing up, and depending on their physical growth, we have to kind of make sure that they are able to comfortably sit at their desk, and you have all the equipments at appropriate height so that they are not going to injure themselves. Now, the big challenge is going to be how to make them understand, and then they would kind of learn from it. So sometimes you might have to play like a little games, like if you do it in a so-and-so position for a little while, and then, there will be a treat or something like that. So that will motivate them. And then as they grow up, then they want to kind of achieve more success, and so then the approach is a little bit different. So kind of making them aware that if you are following this appropriate posture, then you can help yourself kind of how to be successful as you go forward in your whatever subject that you are taking it, or at your work, or so, and you don't end up having kind of a bad posture to as you grow up.
And so can you walk me through the steps to properly set up a workstation?
Yeah, so each of the table and chair, their height also differs from person to person, but like for the kids who are like in elementary school, they probably are just somewhere around 24-inch height, and so the chairs are also kind of made that way, like for example, they use that to eat their food, so like a dining table or something. So that should be okay for them. But as they grow up, like they come to middle school, then their height changes. So it could be, anywhere from 3 feet to 5 feet or things like that. So, and then they would end up coming up to the normal standard desk, which are like, the height is anywhere between 28 to 29 inches. Then we have to make sure that they get the appropriate chair, which can be adjusted, because the desks are at the standard height. So the chairs needs to be with the adjustability of the height, so that you can adjust appropriately in a way that their feet are supported. If it is too high for them, when you raise the chair, then you can use a footrest for a feet support. You want to make sure that the keyboard height is at their elbow height, and so that they don't shrug up their shoulders. You can teach them like to type in a way like as if they are playing a piano, to avoid having your hands in an excessive weight bearing position, which will restrict the circulation. After you have adjusted the chair height with a comfortable sitting all the way back in the chair and keyboard at the elbow height, the next thing comes is the monitor. So make sure it is at eye level. And when we say eye level, that means when they look at the screen, their vision is more focused into upper 1/3 quadrant of the screen, and they can cover the lower 2/3 with the gravitate of the eyes, so that they get some eye movement as well. It needs to be right in front of them and not at the side, because if it's at the side, then they're going to twist their neck multiple times or maybe for a long period of time. Also, you want to make sure that the keyboard is at comfortable distance so that they are not reaching forward, and monitor also at eye comfort distance so they don't have to poke their chin forward to read it. If the font size are smaller, make sure that they can enlarge the font size so that they don't have to lean forward to read their screen.
Right. Like right now, you can tell the sunlight is beaming down right now.
Yes, that is another big factor in today's world. Also, make sure the natural light is good, but the way you want to position your screen, that it needs to be like almost right angle to wherever the rays are. But whenever you find that no, it's still not comfortable in, and you are having symptoms like eye fatigueness or headache or blurry vision, you know that you do need to change your position. You need to reposition all the items somewhere else, or you want to sit somewhere else whenever there is a peak time of the sun rays at that spot. So then you can be on the sofa or somewhere else, but still want to follow the correct posture.
So I think you have a graphic, right? To show sort of like the proper posture.
Right.
Can you share that? Okay, great. Yes.
Okay, so you can see whether you work in sitting or standing position. So basically, whenever you are sitting, your feet needs to be very well supported. And then you see the thighs parallel and knees in open position. They should not be under the desk. Your arms close to your body, your forearms parallel to the desk so that your keyboard height is to the elbow height by keeping elbow somewhere around 90 degrees. Your shoulders are relaxed, they are not hunched up. Neck is in a neutral position and looking straight. And also want to make sure that you have a full back support while you are sitting, so the back muscles don't have to work all the time. And you can see the comfortable distance. It says roughly between 20 to 28 inches, but in a layman's term, the best way to adjust is an arm length distance, so that it's easy to figure it out and you don't have to have measure tape or anything like that. Even in this 90 degrees, you can just place your elbow like 90 degrees and then make sure your chair is raised up if needed to match the height of the desk. Okay.
So everything's basically at 90-degree angles. Your arms, your
Right. So 90, 90, 90 in the sense like elbow around 90, hips around 90, knee around 90.
right. Great. Okay. And if their legs are a little shorter than, say, this person over here, you put maybe like some kind of a support, like a stool or books.
Yes. So you can use a footrest, or if you don't have a footrest, you can use basically excuse me.
Sorry.
You can, if you don't have a footrest, you can use a box or if you don't mind placing your feet on the books, or you can roll up a thick towel or a thick cushion and place that and use that as your footrest. So the armrest, most of the time I recommend not to use them while you are typing, because they are supposed to be used when you're resting. So, and a lot of times the armrests are too far away when we sit in the chair,
Yeah.
and
I find
that kind of creates extra pressure on your shoulder and the neck muscles, because you're reaching out and then turning your arms in, which kind of leaves your shoulder in internal rotation, and that ends up rounding up your upper back. So you want to make sure that you just basically kind of type, like a floating technique, like playing a piano. They don't have any place to rest. So same principle. Okay.
Okay, great. So I want to sort of work my way down. The first thing I want to talk about are eyes. And
Okay.
a child's vision is also developing. So I
Right.
wanted to explore ways to avoid unnecessarily burdening the eyes. And I worry, for my own child about long-term visual dysfunctions as she grows into adulthood. Because, there's different eye issues in my family, and I want to try to make it so I want to help mitigate any impact of her staring at a light source for long periods of time.
So we always want to guide them, like number one is 20, 20, 20, in the sense like for every 20 minutes, take your eyes away from the screen 20 feet away to some other focal point and hold it for 20 seconds. Next option is to do kind of exercises. So when you are taking breaks every half an hour for 2 minutes, you might be doing a couple of other arms or leg exercises, but in between you can also do eye movements. So you can move your eyes top to bottom, side to side, clockwise circle, anti-clockwise circle, slants, like from left to right, right to left. So that will also help in increasing the circulation and relax. Sometimes what you want to do is maybe just take a couple of deep breaths and close your eyes. In spite of that, yes, the rays and the distance is all plays a major role. As you mentioned that it's, we are growing up, so every time the visual distance would change. So you can always talk to the physician and make sure, what range they should be in that would be comfortable for them from the screen. And nowadays, because we are so much indoors, so all the lights like LED lights, or excluding the natural, the lights, and all the TV or your iPad or your laptop, all of them has a blue rays, and which are nasty ones. So what you want to do is to prevent yourself having any issues from those rays. To one can always wear ultra blue ray glasses so that they can help themselves to avoid any any injuries to your eyes.
And you should probably get something like that.
Sorry?
Is that something you could get off online? You could purchase that online?
Yes. All the different websites that I have, it should be on that, one of the websites.
Great.
Yes.
I'll put that in my notes at the bottom. So now I want to talk about ears. My daughter listens to her class through headphones. So most of the time it's to cut out the ambient noise around.
Yeah, so there are so many different kinds of headsets that are available, but then all don't work. One of the very well-known brand, which is Plantorix, and then there is a model number. I think I have given it to you, the model number in my
See that. I don't think
which works like for everything, in the sense like you can even avoid your surrounding noise, whether it's the kid, a child crying, or whether it's outside, garbage people's noise, or the
blowers.
trunk and everything. So that is the very best used for in-house headsets.
Okay, great. And I'll get maybe the link to the.
Yes.
I'll put those in the notes too.
Yeah.